Hello and welcome to World Building Essentials and Exercises. Here on the WBEE, we talk about the basic skills and knowledge points of our craft, and then we put them into effect. When we're not doing that, we talk about our favorite game, Dungeons & Dragons, 5th edition. My name is Lewis Nichols, and today we're doing one of those exercises. This video is connected to the World Building Forests video from a few weeks ago, but it's going to involve a few other lessons too. Before we start, do the stuff that every content provider craves. Like, subscribe. If you find out that I suck later, you can undo the damage. If you remember. However, if it turns out that you had a good time watching, I would encourage you to leave a comment at the end. We're taking a look at an island on Pelicar today. That's my primary campaign world, if you didn't know. It's about 2,000 miles from my current sandbox, just close enough to tease my players when they listen. The island is classified as large. That means you can live a fulfilling life there without ever having to travel beyond. It has a number of biomes and is big enough to support multiple top predators inside overlapping ecosystems. In miles, it's sort of a square, 500 miles to a side. Hopefully, you're seeing some maps on the screen about now. Its name is, don't panic, it's just a name. Come on, we name stuff all the time. Seriously, it's totally not a big deal. This region is pretty European in a lot of ways. Let's not forget, the campaign home is called the London Vale. I've already decided that this area's naming conventions is a little Italian, so let's go with spaghetti, Roma, pizza pesta, or maybe just Rosetta. Oh, Razetti. Yeah, that sounds good. It's in a pretty significant group of islands that are called the Matacignettes. Whew, got some names down. We're cooking now, but don't forget to salt the pasta while it's boiling. A little butter's good too. Let's go economy first, conveniently tied to the forest angle. Did you know one of the limiting factors on ship production used to be the availability of timbers for masts? They have to be straight and strong, not just any tree will do. Overall naval strength in the region is sizable. Combined with merchant fleets, there is a tremendous demand for masts. It just so happens that the best trees for the job are right here. For the record, they are cleverly named Razetti pines. See what I did there? Naming stuff is easy. These trees, their export along with use at local shipyards, constitutes 30% of the entire island economy. They are used in construction to an extent, despite or maybe because of their value. Well-financed projects might use high-quality timbers as a show of wealth. However, for every mast-quality tree, there are a few who don't make the cut and find their way to other projects. Second big point. Holidays are always important markers in a land's culture. Initially, they mark events. Later, they are the event. In the southern city of Agento, one night a year in the late winter, a spectacle occurs. About an hour after sunset, just when it's really dark, the mighty moon dragon song rises between two peaks in the east. Minerals in the mountain faces and reflections from the lake below enhance the event, making dragon song appear to shimmer and send out waves of light into the atmosphere and along the surface. Some believe the moon gained its name because of this local event, as the dragons who live here in the mountains and surrounding areas are active participants. Deep into the night they soar, breathing out gouts of fire and lightning into the brilliant sky. Third big point. Dragons are an integral part of civilized life on Razetti. Centuries ago, treaties between the dragons and Velito set distinct boundaries. These negotiations involved the most powerful beings influential in the region, along with the day's strongest adventurers. Over time, the dragons have withdrawn, as stipulated, leaving much of the Matacignettes to humans, elves, dwarves, and other lovable species of the region. Boundaries are now in their final positions. This leaves most of Razetti under the governance of dragons, but functionally, this translates to a lot of wilderness. It's a perfect place to adventure, with miles of untamed land to explore. Encounters with dragons. Run-ins with dragons will go just like run-ins with other adventuring types. It might be social, mutually beneficial. Friendships are possible, but so are rivalries. In civilized lands, decorum and lawfulness are expected. Sorry, murder hobos, but murder is bad, even in fantasy. In the wilderness, beyond watchful eyes, well, it's much more of a flop around and find out situation. True, a meeting might still be friendly, but dragons are much more likely to take on an attitude of treasure hunting over banter. Single incidents are generally chalked up to a boys will be boys attitude. However, a pattern of behavior, either on the part of dragon hunters or dragons who hunt, will be noted, and bounties or sanctions might be put in place. Members on both sides of disagreements have been known to suffer fines. From the dragon's point of view, the loss of a horde is considered offensive to all dragon kind. In such cases, where an adventuring team captures a horde, a surrender of 40 to 60% to the dragon's relatives is usually considered fair compensation. From the Volcanoes angle, the raiding and extortion of civilian populations is the line not to cross. Exile to islands in the distant west is the usual penalty. Even though these treaties are actually codified in the Madisonets, they are heavily influential on the culture of the entire northern crest. One more big point, and we'll knock out some little stuff. It's a seagoing culture. When you think about a campaign zone, it's easiest to think about the roads and the lands they connect. You think about the villages on those roads and the monsters that lurk in the wilderness surrounding them. When you think about Razetti, you shouldn't start thinking this way at all. Civilization came here for the forests, but only because of their usefulness in shipbuilding. 80% of the population lives within 5 miles of the coast. 20% of working age individuals step on a boat at least 5 times a week. Many young people spend more of their time at sea between the ages of 16 and 26 than they do on land. Military service is common. One can make a career as a naval officer. Work on a merchant ship is more common, with many men and women spending years on dedicated routes or moving from ship to ship as the winds blow them. Even more work as fishermen, either as captain or crew. These sailors wake early, bring their hauls in to sell along the coast in hundreds of fish markets in the cities and settlements over 1,000 miles of civilized coast. Municipal halls are decorated with whale bones and the sun-bleached jaws of enormous sharks. Coral jewelry is everywhere, along with displays of turtle shells and other stranger monuments to the sea. Famous ships are immortalized with veterans' halls that venerate past crews. These are so common they share duty as meat halls, retail space, and inns. Honorary coins, badges, cloaks, and tattoos. The tradition of sailor and ship can be highly personal. Ships and the institutions that support them develop unique iconography for their crews. These might be utilized as body art or emblazoned on badges or otherwise valueless coins. Lying about service on a given ship for gain or attention is one of the great taboos of the culture. Though not strictly illegal, there are plenty of true veterans around to show the individual their mistake. Time to get out the list and answer some questions. How do people pray? At a personal level, many families pray together in the mornings before breakfast. There are variations, but it's often a number of lines, each naming a given god and asking them for their favor as related to the realm they look over. For instance, O great God of the sea, keep us safe from storms, and see after Mommy as she brings in the day's catch. Publicly, each of the local gods, and no, I'm not building a pantheon today, well, they each have several high holy days during the year, some of which are days of rest. Aside from that, there are 3 days a month where most citizens attend larger services. Back to the list. Why, yes, there are wizards' colleges, thank you for asking. If we were going to do a 40-minute video, I'd go into more detail. For now, let's just say there are 4 big ones. The biggest is led by the Grand Arcane Master Great Howlin. He's a dragon. How do people dress? There's a lot of trade, so linens, wool, and silk are all options. Bright colors are around, but over-flamboyant for most. Earth tones are the most common. Flax is the current fashion, but a recently successful sheep ranch and weaver shop has been producing a lot of cheap, green-hued light wools that are flooding the market. Are there volcanoes? Why, yes, there are. In fact, it was going to be a major part of this video, but I forgot. Anyway, yeah, there's an occasionally active volcano just maybe 20 miles or so from the city of Argento. Over the last 10 years or so, it's been getting a little smoky. Earthquakes have become more common, and 7 years ago there was an eruption that destroyed a nearby town with a death toll of 2,000. The presence of the volcano has a significant effect on the economy and differentiates Argento from the rest of the island. Obsidian blocks and volcanic glass are significant exports, and both have been used heavily in the construction of city buildings. In addition, area mines are a major source of diamonds and rubies. These are exported raw but also support a jewelry industry not wholly reliant on coral. A campaign on a clock. If you didn't know, my usual campaign is light on plot but heavy on events. I often set up a time and a place for major occurrences. Sometimes there are hints, sometimes not. Once determined, the campaign runs along its player-driven path as I watch the clock tick down. If you're running a game around Argento, you'll know that the day of reckoning is coming, although it might be far, far away. My vision here is for a major disaster about 2 years out from Session 0. That would be about 8 sessions for the way I run things. If you're running a game where sessions are measured in days or even hours, this method probably isn't for you. In my scenario, if the party is traveling far away, the event is just news, although they might lose some wealth and friends if they are based near the volcano, but they are physically safe. If they are on the mountain, they might just be dead, unless they can teleport to safety. They would have had some warning via an increase in seismic activity, smoke, and even portents. If they ignored it all, don't hesitate to blast them into oblivion. TPK by Volcano, it's a great story. If they are in Argento, it might just be a rescue mission followed up by their own escape. Maybe the group maintains order in the city as it is evacuated under a hail of lava bombs. It's dangerous. PCs can still die. Ultimately, it's up to them when to run. Then you get to run the aftermath. There might be political fallout. It's at least a terrible tragedy with thousands dead. The event could stir up wild magic or release something that the party now needs to deal with. Ultimately, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just hoping to inspire your next great idea. Now, amazingly, I'm right on my word count, so I hope you have found something here that you can adapt to your own work. I want to thank you all for stopping by. You all matter to me. Have a great rest of the day. Cheers.